It's the Al Travis Show. We're lucky to get him on here. You know him as Todd Bergeth. He has got Todd and Friends, or Todd and Souhan, both great podcasts. Todd, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Al. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
I find it interesting. How long have you been doing sports?
About 40 years in radio. Yeah.
Okay, 40 years in all Minnesota?
No, I lived all over the country. Last 30 of it here in Minnesota. Prior to that, I lived in North and South Dakota, Wyoming, Texas, Georgia for a little bit, Iowa.
Is this the reason you can take the day and seem very bright and cheery after watching what happened this weekend in Minnesota football? I mean, I guess, are you a dyed-in-the-blue Viking fan, or are you just a commentator?
Oh, yeah.
Because, okay, so you've converted.
No, I was born in I was born in North Dakota, but raised in Bloomington and Plymouth, right in the Twin Cities. My dad, a huge Vikings fan. I've been to games when it's been, single digits and below zero wind chill.
Oh, yeah.
No, I grew up a tried and true Purple fan. I try to set that aside when I'm doing my commentating. As a matter of fact, I have had listeners come up to me, in particular when the Twins are struggling, and say, "Boy, you're awful hard on our Twins." And I say, I'm just trying to call it as I see it is all.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though, sir.
Yeah.
The second half of the Green Bay game, they announced it as the worst half of football probably ever played.
Mm-hmm.
Was this game against Seattle much better?
It was worse than that.
Worse?
In my opinion. We didn't do anything in this game. It was wretched. Now, I feel bad for Max Brosman.
Mm-hmm.
He's only the fourth undrafted rookie free agent QB to ever start a game since 2000. So it just doesn't happen. Teams don't want to find themselves in that position, and he didn't want to find himself in that position. But I think we saw why, he was an undrafted free agent. He's not that big. He doesn't have a big arm. He doesn't have much mobility. So he got kind of swallowed up. We had hoped that he had the ability to process really quickly. Automatically, Brock Purdy comes to mind. But Brock Purdy played at Iowa State for 5 years.
Yeah.
That's a little different than playing at Minnesota for 1. So there's a difference between those two. And I felt bad for Brosman. He was in way over his head. He could be developed down the road to be a decent backup someday. I don't see him as ever being a starter. Now, for McCarthy, I do. Hopefully it starts to look like it before the end of the year. But if it continues to look like this, Al, even myself, who was a huge McCarthy supporter, if he continues to play the way he has through the last 5 games of the season, and hopefully he's healthy the whole 5, then he'll have 10 games of his sample size. And if it looks like this at the end, then I don't know. I think the Vikings are probably back in the market for some kind of a quarterback to at least give him competition in the offseason. But I had a really hard time watching this game. And I took an early 7 a.m. flight from Phoenix to get home to time to watch it. So not the best decision I ever made.
No, it would have been nicer if it was a noon game so that you had more time to get over before trying to sleep that night. But let me ask you, the defense, I don't think Flores sticks around.
Yeah.
I think defensively he showed, you take the 7 off that came from the offense, and they kept him at 19 points. Seattle, they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Green Bay had one of those. You kept them under 20. You kept Chicago under 20. I'm looking at this and saying the defense is doing its job. Seattle's a good team. Yeah. They kept him there. I think Flores is saying, I think he stayed because I think he had a shot for doing something big if the offense was good. I think we lose Flores next year. Is that a terrible take?
Well, I don't think he'll leave if he's just for another defensive coordinator position.
Okay.
I think he's worked. I think he enjoys Kevin O'Connell, and he sees what's going on in their frustration as well. I think he'd leave for sure if he could get a head coaching job, no doubt, and I think the Vikings would wish him well. I'd be surprised. As a matter of fact, NFL teams, if another team is calling and they want to interview Flores for their D coordinator job, the Vikings can block that.
Okay.
They don't have to even let him interview. So I don't think he leaves for a parallel position. A head coaching job, sure, and I'd say, good for you. Okay. But I'm not sure that's coming necessarily. So.
All right, and that's a fair enough take. The idea that we need to get a quarterback, obviously you need a quarterback. If we don't see anything out of JJ, we need a backup quarterback no matter what. Brosman is not it. You can't go, because I don't even know the name of the guy who was coming in if Brosman got hurt. We have to do that. How many of I'm taking a bad take on this. I've already been yelled at once this week about this. Thielen leaving.
Yeah.
Thielen's my guy, Mankato guy. I like his whole story. I love them bringing him back. Let us do his last year here. And now he asked to be let go for the last 4 or 5 games so he can play 4 or 5 meaningful ball games. But don't worry, I'll always be a Viking and I want to come back to retire here. What is he talking about? Either you're all in or you're all out. Why would we allow him to leave? And if you want him to leave, I just think it takes away your Minnesota Viking card.
Interesting. He got benched this week. He was inactive, and a veteran of his years who was brought in on a $7 million contract for the season gets benched because he can't beat out the receivers in front of him, or because they're keeping an extra tight end. Maybe it was a game plan type of thing. So he wants to play. Adam Thielen, in the end, is a gamer. Mm-hmm. And when he sees he's getting benched in a game against Seattle and several left, he just flat wants to play. So he decided to ask out. I'm with you. I'd have toughed it out, I think. But in his mind, he feels he has something to contribute. Now, in us watching him play for the Vikings during the course of the year, I think he had about a 50% catch percentage.
Yeah.
So I'm not convinced that teams are going to be falling all over themselves to give Adam Thielen a prominent role in their offense anymore. Those days are behind him for Adam Thielen.
See, I completely agree. And if we're willing to let a guy do that, who else you let out of this at the end of the year? If we don't throw this up, other players are going to leave, right? Because it's like, it's okay to leave. We don't have a lot of prospects going on. I don't like the look of that for your football team. I don't like the fact they let him go.
Well, that's a fair statement. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't think we'll see guys that are actually in their prime doing that. When you see this happen, it's almost always a player at the end of his career who knows it could be his very last season, that he may not get another contract from anyone next year, because Thielen hasn't been able to separate from defensive backs for the last 4 or 5 years, let's be honest.
Sure.
That's what got him a career in the NFL, was his precision route running and short-distance quickness, his ability to stop and cut and suddenly be open. That left him a few years ago. So I think he's looking at it as, this could be it. I don't want to spend the last 4 games on the bench. KOC can't guarantee me that that's not going to be the case. I just want to play 5 more games, have a chance to catch 1 more touchdown pass in my career.
And that's great for him. I'm just saying that's not the team. Look at Smith, right? How many years in a row has Smith taken a dock-in pay because he just wants to finish here? Yeah. There's just a difference to it, is all I'm saying. So we have Washington, Dallas, New York, Detroit, and Green Bay, our final 5 games. Looking at what I'm looking at, we could beat New York. Do you think any of these others?
I'm not sure.
Well, why do you laugh? It's so sad.
I know it is. Trying to say that the Vikings could win more than a game. Al, you're probably going out on a limb saying they might beat the Giants. I mean, it is in New York after all. Yeah. But, I don't know. That's probably the one, unless something happens. Suddenly the light switch comes on for JJ, and he hits a few big passes and doesn't turn the ball over. He hasn't had a game yet where he doesn't have a turnover. Yeah. Let's say he has that game, and he throws 2 touchdowns, and he looked like he did the first game of the year when he rallied him in the fourth quarter. So it could happen. But, I think my prediction of 11 wins was gone long ago. It certainly looks like 11 losses now.
Yeah, it sure does. I got to go to break, Todd. Can you hang with me? We'll talk some Timberwolves on the other side. Todd Bergeth on the Al Travis Show. Don't go anywhere. You guys got Todd and Friends and Todd and Souhan. Check them out wherever you get your podcasts. It's the Al Travis Show. We've got him talking sports with Todd Bergeth. And let's talk a little Minnesota Timberwolves. I was on them pretty hard when we were losing these games we shouldn't lose. You're up by 8-10 and you lose it. They've had an interesting week or so where they ended up beating San Antonio without, Victor. I don't think that's necessarily the big thing for me. But Boston was an interesting game. They were up by 12 with like 3 minutes to go. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of fun being a team that's got a positive record. With 1 minute to go, it was tied up. We won it, which I'm thank heaven for that. Is this team putting it together now? They got a couple pancake teams coming up, New Orleans. Is this team getting better? Are they figuring it out, sir, in your mind?
I think so. They seem to be a little more cohesive. For the Wolves right now, it's all about the fourth quarter, isn't it? We've seen them collapse in the fourth quarter multiple times. We've seen Edwards play poorly. I've been critical of Anthony Edwards while still probably being a little more positive on the team overall. But I think they are starting to put it together. They're starting to get a little more of their defensive identity back. Gobert is there because of the defensive play. T.J. Shannon comes in, and Jalen Clark and those guys. That's what they're supposed to do. And Edwards, they just need more consistency from him as well on the defensive side. But I think they're starting to move the ball better. They unfortunately left themselves without a quarterback like the Vikings or a point guard. Yeah. So they're playing with Anthony Edwards operating at the point quite a bit, and that's not his natural position. Now, while his athleticism helps him play that spot well, that's not where he usually is. Mike Conley got old on him. You could see that coming.
And DiVincenzo can't be that replacement, right? He's too many turnovers.
Yes, that's right. His best role is catch and shoot, not distribute, because he doesn't have that awareness of the floor to find guys with slippery passes or the ability necessarily to beat guys and then dish off of that on a consistent basis. Like you mentioned, the turnovers become a problem.
All right, well, when it comes to turnovers, the talk is Minnesota needs to find a way to find a professional point guard, somebody who can really manage the squad and do it. That's going to take something, right? They're just not out there by trade deadline. The rumor I heard was Randall, and it made me mad.
Yeah,
I was maybe not a real Julius fan last year, but this year this guy has, in my opinion, buoyed this team through the good, bad, and the ugly, always putting in the effort that I want to see. I don't want him going anywhere. Can you find another set of guys you can give up to get a decent point guard? Your thoughts on just that idea of a trade?
I'm not a fan of trading Julius either. I mean, he had 12 assists in their last game. He has improved. He's embraced Finch's style. He's had to become more of a point forward, if you will, in particular with the Wolves not having a true point guard. And the guy that they've rumored in association with the Wolves as far as a point guard, the name that keeps popping up the most is Ja Morant. Oh. I wouldn't give you a bag of basketballs for Ja Morant. I don't want him anywhere near the team.
You want to upset a balance of a team, put that acid in there, right? I mean, all of a sudden this base is blowing up. Not a good idea.
Yeah, and he's not even having a good season on the floor. Yeah. He gets coaches fired left and right. I'll guarantee there's one guy who doesn't want to see Ja Morant. That's Chris Finch, because he knows his job is in jeopardy the next day. Yeah. So I don't want to see that. I don't know who else it would be. Trey Jones, I saw mentioned. He's a good point guard. He's a solid guard. He's been a backup in his career more than he's been a starter. But if it was somebody like that, because a Trey Jones can be gotten for not Julius Randle. Yeah. I'm not sure what the package would be. You have to make the salaries work and all that. I might punch that into the ESPN's trade evaluator here later this week. But that's somebody who I could get on board with. I keep seeing Ja Morant, and I'd rather drag my tongue across the parking lot than have Ja Morant be part of the team.
I completely agree. The interesting part about any trade is that, yes, it's glaring that we need that guard thing, but we kind of knew it, right? Is this because Dillingham hasn't stepped up? Who was it that we thought was going to be there? Because you can't blame Conley for getting old. I mean, we all get old.
They knew They knew that was happening. Father Time is undefeated, as they say. Yes, it's because they can't trust Rob Dillingham. He's not picking up the NBA game. They traded up to get him to the number 8 pick, gave up other assets to do that, believing that they could. They knew he was a raw rookie that needed to be molded because he'd only played his one season of college ball, and he missed a little bit of that with an injury. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Except for the injury part. Sounds just like the Vikings projecting on J.J. McCarthy that he would be able to step right in his second year for sure and take over an offense. They thought Rob Dillingham would be able to learn under Mike Conley for a season and step in his second year and take over as the starting point guard and ease Conley back to the 15 or 18 minutes a game that he's at right now. And it hasn't happened because he's really small. He is quick, but when you're really small, you also need to be able to see the game at a high level to get to the right spots to find those passes around the much larger men, and he just hasn't shown that ability. So they blew it on Rob Dillingham, yeah.
With my final minute, though, with what we've got, I mean, you got what you got. If we can't make a trade, is this team good enough to get us to the Western Conference again? I see that all the other teams seem to have improved themselves. We're the same team, basically. Can this team go any further than it did? Can it get where it got?
I'd like to say yes. I feel like the Timberwolves, when they stood pat, were saying, this is our year. The second year with everybody together is going to do it. We believe we can make the finals with this team. So they believe it. Do I believe it? To a certain extent, but I need to see more. The NBA changes so much by the time you get to the playoffs sometimes with who's healthy, who's not. We'll see. At this point, they don't look like a Western Conference Finals team, but I think they can get there, yes.
All right, fair enough. As we sit here today, I wouldn't put my paycheck on us being able to get past OKC.
No, I wouldn't either.
In any kind of tournament. Okay, I got to fly, my friend. How does someone pick up Todd and Friends and Todd and Souhan?
KWLM.com. Our website, just hit the podcast tab or anywhere where you find your podcast. They're on there. Just search Todd and Friends or Todd and Souhan.
Todd, I appreciate you a ton, my friend. Let's do this again next week.
Thanks, Al.
He's Todd Bergeth on the Al Travis Show. Lots more coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's not the same if you're not here.